President Trump says the U.S. will not launch strikes on Venezuela. The FBI thwarts a potential Halloween terrorist attack. And the race for New Jersey's governor is now statistically tied. I'm Georgia Howe with Daily Wire executive editor John Bickley. It's Friday, October 31st. Happy Halloween. And this is Evening Wire. Despite conflicting comments last week, President Trump says he's not considering strikes on Venezuela. Last week, Trump told reporters that, quote, land is going to be next in his efforts to target drug trafficking. But he walked those comments back today when asked about it on Air Force One. When asked if land strikes were imminent, he simply responded, no. This is despite mounting forces being assembled in the Caribbean and ongoing strikes on drug boats. FBI Director Kash Patel revealed Friday morning that the FBI prevented a potentially violent terrorist attack and arrested multiple people. Patel said in a statement, quote, the FBI thwarted a potential terrorist attack and arrested multiple subjects in Michigan who were allegedly plotting a violent attack over Halloween weekend. A federal judge is forcing the Trump administration's hand in regard to SNAP benefits. U.S. District Judge John McConnell in Rhode Island issued a temporary restraining order Friday, blocking the administration's plan to suspend SNAP benefits, commonly known as food stamps, starting this Saturday. The move came after cities, nonprofits, and a union sued the Department of Agriculture, arguing it still had billions in reserve to keep payments flowing. The USDA says it lacks authority to issue aid without a spending bill. But for now, the court's order keeps assistance going for 42 million low-income Americans.
The race for New Jersey governor is now statistically tied in what would be a massive upset for Democrats if Republican Jack Ciattarelli pulls it off. A new poll by Insider Advantage in Trafalgar shows Democrat Mikey Sherrill with 45% of the vote and Ciattarelli with 44%. An Emerson poll also gives Sherrill just a 1-point advantage, well within the margin of error. Here's pollster Matt Towery of Insider Advantage on Fox saying this all comes down to voter turnout.
I got to tell you, the energy is so important in the last 4 or 5 days with regard to turnout. Our polls show there were a significant number of independent voters that were undecided. And most of the polls show that the independent voters have been breaking on the Republican side. So if that breaks the way we think it could break, and if the Republicans will make sure they get out and vote, because they are trailing in overall voter turnout in early voting. But if they can get out and turn out big time, this could be the upset that will really move things and put things in position for the upcoming midterms next year.
Meanwhile, Sherrill's position on left-wing gender identity issues is turning heads. The Democrat candidate says she would push for New Jersey classrooms to mandate LGBTQ curriculum with no parental opt-out if she were to become governor. Daily Wire reporter Amanda Prestigiacomo has more.
Sherrill made the comments during a primary debate back in May, but the controversial remarks have since resurfaced in the days leading up to the New Jersey gubernatorial election between Sherrill and Republican Jack Ciattarelli on November 4th. Sherrill said that she would push an LGBTQ education into New Jersey schools and said that parents have a right to opt out of a lot of things, but, quote, this is not an area where they should be opting out, because this is an area of understanding the background of people throughout our nation. Sherrill has also refused to condemn the New Jersey Education Association for its promotion of woke drag culture inside the classroom for state public school educators.
Game of Thrones creator George R.R. Martin won the first battle in his quest to sue OpenAI for copyright infringement. Here with more is Daily Wire entertainment reporter Amanda Harding.
Earlier this week, a federal judge ruled that a class action lawsuit against OpenAI can proceed with 2 additional theories of infringement. U.S. District Judge Sidney Stein said that a ChatGPT-generated concept for a book in Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire series could infringe on the author's copyright. The Game of Thrones writer and several other Authors Guild members, including John Grisham and Jonathan Franzen, filed a lawsuit against Sam Altman's company 2 years ago. In an 18-page ruling from the Manhattan Federal Court, the judge wrote, quote, a reasonable jury could find that the allegedly infringing outputs are substantially similar to the plaintiff's works.
ICE has arrested an illegal immigrant employed as a 5th-grade teacher at a school in Colorado. Daily Wire immigration reporter Jenny Terr has the details.
An elementary school in the sanctuary state of Colorado employed an illegal immigrant to teach 5th grade before she was ultimately arrested by ICE. Marina Ortiz Aboyaneda left Peru and crossed the border illegally in 2022. The Biden administration released her into the country amid a massive wave of migrants. She began teaching at a school in a Denver suburb after she received a work permit. That's according to a letter Principal Stacy Bush recently sent to parents. On Friday, ICE nabbed Ortiz alongside her family members while she was reporting for a routine check-in with ICE as part of her ongoing immigration case. The school is now working to get Ortiz back to teaching. The incident comes after the arrest of the superintendent of Des Moines Public Schools in Iowa, who also turned out to have entered the country illegally.
Lawmakers and public health officials fear that a little-known synthetic opioid known as nitazenes could be the next fentanyl-level crisis in the U.S. Nitazenes were developed as an experimental painkiller in the 1950s, but never officially approved for use. In their most common forms, they're 5 to 9 times stronger than fentanyl and could be as potent as 40 times stronger. The drugs overwhelmingly come from China. 3 Republican Senators Dave McCormick, Pete Ricketts, and Eric Schmidt have introduced legislation to stop the spread of nitazenes before they're widely used in the U.S. The new bills would crack down on nitazene possession in the U.S. and disrupt supply lines for the drug out of China.
A lawsuit filed this week accuses Loudoun County schools of manipulating and deleting evidence in the transgender locker room filming case that made national headlines. Daily Wire investigative reporter Luke Rosiak has the story.
The Virginia School District pursued punishment against boys who complained about being filmed by a girl in the boys' locker room and not the trans-identifying girl who broke rules by filming, even though the girl repeatedly changed her story about purported anti-transgender harassment. That's according to a lawsuit filed Wednesday. The school district doled out 10-day suspensions to boys who wondered among themselves why a girl was in the boys' locker room. The suit says the district did so even though officials' interviews and the videos the girl took failed to corroborate her claims that the boys denigrated, threatened, and ordered her to leave. The lawsuit accuses district officials of deleting at least one recording, leaking confidential information to a left-wing PAC that it says defamed the boys, and dropping the charges against a Muslim student but not against 2 Christian boys. The incident occurred at the same school where a transgender rapist struck in 2021. Loudoun County Public Schools infamously covered up that rape because it would have hampered the passage of the very policy that now allows transgenders to use the opposite-sex locker rooms.
CBS News anchor Gail King is remaining tight-lipped about reports that she may be leaving the Tiffany network after more than a decade. The 70-year-old anchor was spotted leaving her New York apartment early this morning, just hours after Variety reported that she's considering stepping down amid shakeups at the network. This comes after CBS acquired the Free Press and then made its founder, Barry Weiss, editor-in-chief. CBS denies any talks about her contract, saying King remains a valued part of the network. Her current deal runs through May 2026. The rumors also come amid CBS and parent company Paramount facing sweeping layoffs and budget cuts tied to their merger with Skydance Media.
The Department of Justice is reportedly investigating the National Black Lives Matter organization over allegations that the group's leadership defrauded donors. Daily Wire reporter Tim Pierce reports.
Federal agents are probing the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation after years of financial scandals and infighting at the group. Officials have issued multiple subpoenas and carried out at least one search warrant against the foundation and other leftist groups in recent weeks. According to the Associated Press, the investigation began under former President Joe Biden. In a statement, the foundation denied that it is the subject of a federal criminal investigation. It told the AP, quote, "We remain committed to full transparency, accountability, and the responsible stewardship of resources dedicated to building a better future for Black communities." The U.S. Attorney's Office and the Central District of California in Los Angeles is leading the investigation into the foundation.
Interstellar comet 3I Atlas reportedly flew too close to the sun, sparking some speculation. Harvard scientist Avi Loeb says the Manhattan-sized comet may have performed an unusual maneuver while approaching the sun this week, behavior he claims is non-gravitational acceleration. NASA's Jet Propulsion Lab data reportedly show the interstellar visitor veering off course, brightening and even turning blue, something that differs greatly from typical comet activity. Loeb suggests it could be powered by something more than melting ice. NASA, however, hasn't confirmed any such explanation. And Whoopi Goldberg and the women of The View stunned their audience by announcing a guest that no one saw coming.
People in Washington are starting to say, my constituents, they're starting to remember why they're there. Yeah. Because you don't get there without people putting you there and remembering that those same people can pull you out of there. And that's why when you said Marjorie Taylor Greene, I'm happy to say that she's going to be here on Tuesday.
Greene will appear on the left-leaning daytime show next Tuesday, which also happens to be Election Day. Co-host Joy Behar quipped that while they may not agree on much, everyone can agree that Americans shouldn't suffer from Washington's gridlock.
All right, those are your drive home updates. To learn more about these stories, go to dailywire.com. And in case you missed it earlier today, we covered some major stories, including the fallout from Trump's sit-down with China, the crackdown on illegal immigrants getting commercial driver's licenses, and the dramatic political shifts in South America. Thanks for tuning in and have fun trick-or-treating. We'll be back tomorrow morning with a weekend edition of Morning Wire.